All right, so check this out. In the description below, you're gonna find this image and 2 fall AI presets that you can download for free and use to follow along with today's fall photo editing tutorial, where you're gonna learn how to transform green foliage into autumn colors without spending hours editing in Lightroom. How cool is that? I love it. So if you're ready, let's do it. All right, so go ahead and import the image if you haven't already. And if you're getting an error when you're trying to import one of the presets, I'm going to show you why and how to fix it. First, for those that don't know how to import the developed presets, go ahead and click on this icon right here. Inside of this menu, select Import Presets, navigate to the folder of files that you downloaded, and select the base preset, and then go ahead and click Import, and then that preset will be added to your user presets. Now, the other preset is a paintbrush preset, or what is also known as a local adjustment preset, and we have to go into preferences to install this one. So what we're going to do to get into preferences is we're going to go up to Lightroom, and we're going to select preferences from here if you're on a Mac. If you're on a PC, I believe it's either under File or Edit. So once you're inside preferences, you're going to click on this presets tab right here. And then down here, we have a little button that says show all other Lightroom presets. Once you click on that, your Finder window will open and the Lightroom folder will automatically be selected. So what we need to do is go inside of there, locate local adjustment presets, and then go inside of there. All right, so what we should have done first is we should have copied the other file, but let's do that now. So we're gonna go ahead and create a new Finder window, or just navigate to that folder of files that you downloaded. You're going to double click on the brush preset to unzip it, right click on this file and select copy. All right, so we're gonna go back into local adjustment presets now. And then we're going to right click and select paste item. And then to complete your installation of this preset, you have to restart Lightroom. So go ahead and do that, and then we'll get started on editing this image. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to tighten up the composition a little bit because there's a couple of distractions along the edges. So in the top corner here, we have part of the sky showing through, and then at the bottom of the frame, we have some leaves. And those are distractions that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my crop tool. I'm going to click up here, drag down, and then click and drag up just above the leaves. Press enter or return to add that crop to your image. All right, now that we have a better composition, we can begin laying the foundation for transforming your green foliage into autumn colors, yellow, red, orange, or whatever colors you want to add. Now, we're going to do that by adding or applying that preset that you installed earlier, which is located in your user presets, and it's called Semi-Peak 06. Now, you may notice that I have a lot of base presets. I have around 30 to 35 of them, and I have multiple base presets because I've created different ones based on how much green I have in an image. And for the green ones here, I use those when there's very little fall color, so more green than fall. Semi-peak is perfect for images like this one where there's a little bit of fall colors and some green. And then peak is when we have a lot more autumn colors than green. So I'm going to show you how to create your own presets in just a moment. So let's go ahead and click on Semi-Peak 06. We're going to press the letter Y to see the before and after. Press the tab key to hide those panels to make those images larger. And you can see that just with that preset, the image is much improved than it was before, but we still have a lot of work to do, especially with the settings that were applied with the preset, because I'm not quite happy with those edit settings because it's a little bit too dark for my taste and too much contrast. And regardless if you're using presets you get from me or from somebody else, you have to remember that presets were designed for a specific image. The colors, the light, the textures, whatever the case may be. So when you apply a preset to your photo, it's not going to work one click and done. It's not going to work 100% of the time on every photo. So you need to go in and you need to tweak the settings based on your creative vision for the image that you're working with. Let's press the Tab key again and then the letter Y to get back to this interface here. So to me, there's too much contrast in the image and it's too dark. So I'm going to increase the exposure to about 1/3 of a stop right there. I think I need to reset the blacks because again, there's too much contrast. So let's double click on blacks to reset that back to 0. And I think I want to drop the shadows a little bit and increase the whites. Again, press the letter Y, Tab key, and it's much brighter than it was before and doesn't have as much contrast. So what that's also doing is it's cutting through the haze here and bringing in more details in those parts of the image. However, I want to cut some of that haze even more with some dodging and burning before we get into painting the colors on the trees or the leaves. So let me show you how to do that. Press Y, Tab key, and what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 masks. The first one is going to be a brush mask. We're going to go ahead and select Auto Mask here. And what I want to do is I want to select just the river because I want to add some contrast to this part of the image as well as cut through some of that haze so we can see more details in that area. So once you have that, what you want to adjust are the highlights down to around -15. We're going to drop the shadows down to around -35. And then we're going to adjust the blacks down to around -30. So this is adding contrast to that part of the image. Now to cut through the haze, we're going to scroll down and increase dehaze to +19. So if we click right on this little icon here, we can see the before and the after. So we can see how much brighter it was and less contrasty than it is with those adjustments. Now I think I want to come back on these exposure settings here and just lay off some of that contrast just a little bit. And another thing I like to do as I'm adding new masks is I like to rename the masks to keep them organized, because if we go into my final edit here, you can see I have multiple masks and I've named them according to the color that I applied and what I targeted. So in this case, the river. So let's go ahead and rename this mask by right-clicking and selecting rename, and I'm going to call it river. This is actually the Genesee River in Letchworth State Park. So let's go ahead and click OK. Now the other thing I want to do is add a linear gradient to add some depth to the image because it's kind of flat in the foreground right now. So I want to create some more depth with a gradient that's going to be darker in one area and brighter along the edge of that gradient. So we're going to click on this plus icon right here. You're going to select your linear gradient, click and drag up right here. So you can see this red overlay where the edit is going to be applied. And down here, it's more of a solid red color, where here it's more of a gradient, right? So 100% of the edit is going to be applied down here, and it's going to gradually disappear until there's no part of that edit being applied in this part of the gradient. So what we want to do for this is just lower the exposure about 1/2 a stop. So again, before and after, and just by darkening up that part of the foreground, that just adds a little bit more depth. Let's go ahead and rename this linear. Well, I don't know how to spell linear. Linear gradient. And then you can, give it more of an explanation like dodge and burn or darker or whatever you want to put. So we'll go ahead and put darker for now. All right, now for the fun part. We're gonna begin painting on the colors to transform the green to, let's do a red color. So we're gonna press the letter Z to zoom in. I'm gonna target this tree right here. If you hold down your space bar, you're gonna get this little hand tool. You can click and drag and navigate around your image. All right, so to access that brush preset that you installed previously, first click on this plus icon to create a new mask. Otherwise, the edit settings that you apply when you select that paintbrush will be applied to the gradient because that's what's currently selected. So we're gonna select brush. That's gonna create a new mask layer. We're gonna come over here where it says preset, click on custom to show the hidden menu, and then you're gonna scroll down. You're probably not gonna have as many of these as I do, but I have, I think around 25 to 30 fall paintbrush presets that I use for changing colors, and I'm gonna show you how to create a preset for these as well. I need to show you how to do the develop preset as well, which we'll do in just a second. So the preset that you installed is called Autumn Red. Where is it? Right here. So go ahead and select that. And now your edit settings right here have been adjusted based on those settings saved in the preset. And before you apply it, there are two keys to creating a more natural looking edit or natural colors. And if you just begin applying it, you're not going to be happy with the results. For example, I'm going to go ahead and apply the colors with one long brush stroke by clicking and dragging around the leaves on this tree. And you can see that the color has changed. However, it looks fake, doesn't it? So it looks unnatural. So I'm going to hold down my Alt or Option key to get my eraser tool. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase that color, because what we want to do before we apply a color is adjust the flow and the density lower than 100. So 100 is applying the color and the thickness of that color at 100%. So flow, I usually just click lower than that. I don't pick a specific number, but somewhere between 60 and 80. And then the density, I always go lower than the flow. I may want to go a little higher on the flow and then a little higher on the density. So the flow controls how fast that paint is being put on your leaves. So think of it like a garden hose with a nozzle. The harder you squeeze that nozzle, the faster that water comes out. So at 100, it's coming out really fast. 80, a little slower. Density is the thickness of the paint. So at 100, it's really thick and you can't really see through it. Density at 73 or lower than 100, it's not as thick. So it's a little bit more opaque. So you can kind of think of density like opacity. Now, when we paint over that area, look how much more natural that looks. And we have now successfully transformed that green color into a nice red color that almost matches the color of the tree right next to it. How cool is that? I love it. So there's before and after. Let's go ahead and rename this Autumn Red. Now, another key to creating a natural edit is to layer different colors on top of each other, or go back with a new brush stroke with that same brush that you applied originally, and it's going to add more paint on top of it, which gives a little bit more depth and color variations versus applying one color. So I can come in here and paint in here again, and then this area right here is now a little bit brighter and more colorful than it was before. Now, let me show you how to create these presets. So let's say you want to change this color to something else. So let's say an orange, a more orange color. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down to the color panel here, and we're going to drop the tint down a little bit, as well as the temp. You can also increase or decrease the saturation. I'm going to leave that alone, but what I want to change is this color right here. So if you click on this color box, you'll have all the colors that you want to choose from. So I'm going to choose something with less saturation. So the lower you go here, the less saturated that color is. So I'm going to select something a little bit more orange. And now look at that. That color has now been updated in that tree. And I think that looks a little bit more natural now versus that autumn red. So what I can do is, let's say I want to save that for later on because I have other trees I want to change colors to. Maybe that autumn red will work better on a different tree than this one. So what we're going to do is click right here, scroll all the way to the bottom, select Save Current Settings as a new preset. Go ahead and give it a name. Now, the way I've organized my presets is based on the type of preset. So I have corrective presets that will make part of the image brighter or darker, highlight recovery to retain detail and highlights. I have some other ones here. I have linear gradients for skies. I also have my paintbrushes right here, and then I have a radial gradient to add sunlight. So I've named them this way to keep them organized, and it makes it easier to find and locate the preset that I need. So I have fall P for paintbrush, burnt umber, or autumn red, or whatever you want to call it. So go ahead and save that as a new preset and create a file naming system that will work for you. Now let's go back to that original edit that we did, the global edit settings here. Let's say after adjusting these settings here, these tonal values, let's say you have multiple images in this location, same colors, same lighting, etc., and you want to save it as a preset. We're going to come over here and click on this icon, select Create Preset, give it a name, and then select the edit settings that you want to save into it, and then click Create. Now that's going to put that in your user presets group again. What I recommend doing is doing what I did. I have different groups for the type of presets that I may want to use, whether it's seasonal or for something else. So what this is going to do is it's going to organize all the presets that you have into the group. Think of it kind of like a folder. So click on New Group, give it a name, click Create, and then that preset will be saved in it. When you create new presets, make sure you come in and select that group before clicking Create. Otherwise, it will go in your user presets by default. Now, there's one more thing I want to share about the base presets that will help you transform green foliage into fall colors, and that's with the Color Mixer panel. So if we take a look, I'm just going to pick one of these green ones here, and if we scroll down, you're going to notice that in the Color Mixer, the luminance values have been adjusted for 4 color channels: red, orange, yellow, and green. So those are the fall colors that I want to target. I also have, no, I don't have any adjustments in saturation for this preset, but some of the other ones I do. So you can increase the purity of that color with saturation by increasing it to the right, or decreasing the purity by desaturating by adjusting this to the left. Hue is the key to transforming colors or laying the foundation. And what you're going to do is you're going to adjust the hue of the red, orange, yellow, and green to the left, and that's going to change those colors from whatever you select. Let's say green here is now more yellow in this case. The yellow color channel is now more orange versus yellow, etc., and etc. Now, I have over 70 AI presets. Actually, there's one more thing I need to share with you. So the other thing you can do is, actually, I'm going to click on semi-peak. The other thing you can do, these are AI presets. So in other words, Lightroom is going to automatically adjust the intensity of that preset by using this amount slider right here. So instead of adjusting the tonal values like we did previously, we could simply adjust the slider to the right to make it darker or have more contrast to boost those colors, add more saturation, etc. Or we can turn down the intensity of that preset by going to the left. However, just keep in mind, the presets that I've created do not adjust the exposure. I like to do that manually because every image I create, the exposure is slightly different. Even though I get it right in camera, I still want to alter the exposure as needed on an image by image basis. Now, I do have 70 plus AI presets that I use for editing my fall photos, and it took me weeks to create these presets. So it might take you quite a bit of time to create your own as well. So what I've done is I've put together my fall AI editing system with a workflow guide, a workflow checklist, projects to share additional pro tips that I haven't shared today, as well as all of my AI presets. So you don't have to spend weeks creating your own. And you can download all of those via the link in the description below. So go ahead and check that out. Thanks for listening and have an awesome day.